Good day and welcome back to the Ask Pastor Law podcast. The question today has been inspired by something negative that happened to a content creator that I'm subscribed to, that I know many are subscribed to, certainly in this community. He had his YouTube channel hijacked. And by that I mean he was not able to log into his YouTube channel or the email associated with his YouTube channel, anything associated from a login standpoint, he lost access to because his account was hijacked. And I kind of received general questions about, how can we, who are content creators or aspiring to be, how can we prevent this from happening to us? And I scratched my head a bit, but we've shared enough videos about things that you can do generally as best practice to keep yourself safe from the internet rogues, but specifically to address this scenario, where this gentleman's YouTube account and his email account was hijacked. The questions touched on, email accounts, YouTube portal accounts and things like that. What do we do? And that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. I'm going to use the iPhone to show you some things that you can do. But before we do that, I would generally make this case. If you are on the internet, it is not a joke. This scenario that we mentioned, I'm certain that this gentleman makes a living of sorts from his YouTube channel. So for however long he had no access to that channel, his livelihood was affected. And it can be scary, really scary. It's like you getting a letter that you're fired, or there's a threat to your job in some way or form. Those things are not tasty. So to avoid being in that position, we must acknowledge that the internet is no joke. Anytime you do any endeavor on the internet, you must take it seriously. Really, you must take it seriously. And unless you do that, honestly, you're playing with danger. My passion, the channel's passion, is to protect children who don't have a choice, who are so vulnerable, so innocent. We ask that you take your time to make sure that they are on the right track. We wish the same for you, adults, parents, caregivers, and all that. So that I thought I would throw that out before I specifically show you what you need to do. So as you know, the community, I use the iPhone. And so I'm going to use the iPhone to show you how you can, on a not day to day, but on a periodic basis, just check to make sure that activities around your mail account are sufficient, are tight, they have to be, otherwise the rogues will have a field day. So it's important. Something dropped in my mind as I was about to, go to the iPhone. Yes, we're talking about protecting your Gmail account, but there's so many other things that you ought to do, and we've shared that. And I think the one we hammered on quite hard on was two-factor or multi-factor authentication. That is so key, and I'm sure if this gentleman had this enabled, it would have helped. Without a doubt, it would have helped. And so when we're doing those checks, you find that I'm going to, point to that at some point if I can. Okay. All right. So we go to the iPhone, and on the iPhone, as you can see, you're seeing my beautiful ladies. Let's see. So we'll go to Google. Google, more or less, that's where most people, I don't want to generalize, but most people have a Gmail account. So if you have a Gmail account to do these best practices, to do these things, to make sure that your account is healthy, we're going to go to Google, okay? And through Google, you see what we're going to find. All right, so I open Chrome, and of course, I have Google as my default page. So we're going to go to accounts.google.com. I've already done the search, so you can see it. There's the first one, so I'm just going to choose it. And you can see it's the first one that turns up. It's Google Accounts. So I click on that too. All right. So at the moment, I'm signed in, as you can see, with an account that is Google, or Gmail. It has a Gmail account associated with the account itself. And I've told us that and for this, I need you to look at my face. I've told you that the vendors, and I know that it's hard to comprehend or believe at times, the vendors are for you. Yes, at some point they want to make money off you, but who doesn't? That came out so wrong. But you get the idea. Vendors they're not doing a not-for-profit endeavor. It's a business endeavor. So they're giving you something and you're paying something back. And for the money you're paying, they deliver a service, and they are committed to delivering the best service possible. The two vendors, iOS or Apple and Google, do their very best. And we're seeing a case here. If we go back to the phone, you can see that there's so many suggestions. I'm looking down, I can see privacy and personalization. It tells you to see the data in your Google account and choose what activity is saved to personalize your Google experience. These things are important to read and understand. Okay, then it goes down, just further down, it says manage your data and privacy. And it says you have security recommendations. So because they're looking out for you, they are looking for vulnerabilities in your setup. And so you have a section there where it says you have security recommendations. Further down there, they say privacy suggestions available and all that. All those are things that really we can or should explore. But for the purpose of what we're doing today, we're going to review the security section. And that will take that. For that, we will do you have security recommendations. Let's see what Google is recommending. To do that, you click on the shield with the exclamation mark, that big yellow thing. You click on it, and it opens up, and you see there it's a security checkup. Okay, so it says Google is saying that it has some recommendations or recommended actions that we should take. But before we actually click on them, anytime you see an exclamation mark and a shield, it's saying there's something not quite right. And so you've got to look at it. Okay, don't ignore it. But you can see that I have 4 green ticks and I have 1 exclamation mark. And it's saying where the exclamation mark is where I have third-party access. And what that simply means is that I've saved passwords, or rather I've saved websites on my Google, on my browser. So I have websites, login information to websites that I frequent. I've saved the information in my browser, okay, using this account, which will make accessing those portals or browser or websites a lot easier. So I don't have to always type my passwords in. It's not. I mean, if you're really into security and privacy, that's a bad idea, but if you trust the site, if you trust the people or the vendor that you're visiting, whose site you're saving onto your browser, then that's okay. But you've got to be hands-on and know that, okay, that's what you're doing. You don't save the security or logon information for a website that is one that you just go once, it's just, you just saw it and you go. No, you don't do that. That's not best practice. It's not even best practice to save your passwords in the browser, full stop. But with the browsers that we now have, Google and Safari, there's some security things, secure things you can do to make that those things you're saving secure. You can encrypt them and all that. So the levels, but at the level that I'm addressing today, and that's just normal to intermediate, it's not actually best practice to save your passwords in the browser cache. Not a good idea. But we know that many of you are doing it. And when you do, like I said, the vendors are helping out. The vendor can see that information and make recommendations, which they're doing. And they're putting an exclamation mark, which means they're kind of frowning at it. But hey, you've done it, so let's see what we can do to help. Apple are the same, but today we're dealing with Google, okay? So it says, where you have the exclamation mark, it says, remove risky access to your data. Okay, so I click on it, and it says, remove risky access to your data. This app or service has extensive access to your personal information. Note the word extensive. And its developers' information hasn't been verified by Google, which is a big deal. Okay, Google can't really verify who they are. And because of that, they're flagging them as risky. So it gives me an opportunity to go in, Google that is, are giving me an opportunity to go in and review that information and make sure that I really, so if Google can't verify it, then now the next best thing will be me telling them it's okay. All right. So it tells me now that there are 6 vendors or developers, whoever they are, that have access, or that I have stored their information on my site with logon information. And it gives you a choice. You can remove access, you can look at the app details, you can remind me later, or you could dismiss it. Okay? So I now have an opportunity, like you can see, to look at the vendors that that have that set up on my system. So I have vidIQ, which I use for my content creation, and yes, vidIQ, I want them to have access to my YouTube portal for analytical reason. So there's a reason why I have vidIQ there. And then it says there are 5 other ones just further down, as you can see. So you have, maybe you can see, can you see? Yeah. So there's a few others, which I'm now scrolling up. Forgive me, I didn't know I was blocking you. So it says 5 other apps with access to your data. I've got Ecamm Live, that's what I use to live stream, so it's okay, I know them. Got Patreon. Yes, I want Patreon to be able to access my YouTube information so I can, engage with the members of Patreon. At the moment, you guys haven't woken up to being part of Patreon. Join me on that portal where you have exclusive access to me and all the data or information that others don't see. Take it up. I challenge you. Okay? Then, of course, down there I also have TubeBuddy, bit like vidIQ. I use it for analytical purposes. Wix SEO is also for the website, the Family Cyber Clinic website. So I need them to be able to be on my portal, access to the channel and all that. So these are all valid. And then YouTube Tracker, I use it to check how I'm doing and how the channel is generally doing. So you can see that those 6 vendors are there because I want them to be there. Okay? So there's no bother there. So I can, minimize that. So I'm not worried about third parties having access to my portal. So even though there's an exclamation mark there, I've gone there, I've reviewed it, and these are things we must do from time to time. Review your account to make sure, because it doesn't really have to be a YouTube channel. I have a mail account associated with my YouTube channel, and that account is being, reviewed regularly by Google. Okay. Other things that you can do as part of the security checkup, you have your devices where you're signed into, and this is very crucial. So much so that many don't look at it. There's sometimes, like now, I've logged into this broadcast, So it's noted that I'm logged in. So, but if you look at the list, I don't know how many things you can see with me blocking you, but you need to see me too. But you can see it says the 5 sessions on the iPhone, the 3 sessions on unknown devices, 1 session on an Android phone, 11 sessions on Mac. So what this allows you to do is you can review to make sure that these are you. These devices are devices you own. So if I see an iPad there, I know I have an iPad. It will be me, and I make sure that it's me, because I know of situations where you see devices that you can't recognize in this list. Accessing your account. What's all that about? So, but if you don't review it, you don't know, and I should clear some of these off so that I don't really always have to, scan. But it refreshes every time you log in with this account on any device, internet-enabled device, it will be captured, okay? And it's important that we review this. At the moment, it's happy. There's a green tick there, so I'm taking that to mean that it's happy, but still, you have to review it. And then the next one on the list is recent security activity from the last 28 days. It will all be here. Everything you've done, And if you review it, you see activities that you're not familiar with. And this is the whole purpose of this. So you can see some rogue activities happening. Well, I hope you don't see, but you could see some rogue activities in the list. And it gives you an opportunity to do something about it, okay? So review your recent security activity to stay on top of things. All right, so we have sign in and recovery. And this is the bit that I said is important. On any portal that you are on, email, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I could go on Twitter, Threads, X, or whatever it's called these days, ultimately enable multi-factor authentication without fail. It's a recommendation from this platform. The vendors recommend it. It gives you an opportunity to stay in control. That's all we're about on this platform. The user, you seize control when you have something the rogue does not have. And that's a phone where you can receive an SMS or an app generated text or ping asking you to do something the rogue cannot do unless they have the phone in their hands. And so it's important that you enable it, and it's telling me that I've enabled it, and of course it's happy about that. So it's green, okay? The last one, and this one will probably take the most time of this video, and I didn't want this to be too long, but ultimately it says your saved passwords. We recommend, in fact, the last video 1 or 2 weeks ago, we mentioned that you should invest in a password manager. If you have issues saving passwords or remembering passwords, just invest, and it's not a lot of money. Invest in a password manager so that you can be on top of things. But I don't mind having to remember passwords. I have a good regime. Well, at least I thought so, with most of my accounts, especially my main accounts. And so even though I'm recommending a password manager, I don't want you to incur an unnecessary, expense. So I do have a password manager by virtue of an app that I bought. So I don't pay for it. I just have it in conjunction with the VPN application that I have, and I use that. But and I use that for my main account. But for some accounts, I don't have it. And for the purpose of this video, I'm using an account that doesn't use the password manager, so that you can see the kind of things that the vendor can see. So you know how vulnerable you can be if you're not on top of things, okay? So It's saying that I have 47 passwords for 47 sites. Now I have passwords. I say that again. That I have passwords for 47 sites and apps saved on my Google account. And that could be Gmail and Google Chrome, the browser itself. And I must look at them. You must look at them to see whether they're necessary. 47 is a lot. Okay, so I click on the drop down and it says password for 47 sites and apps. Your saved passwords are being checked for security issues to help keep your accounts secure. And so I should go to go further. Sorry, I've got to lift this up so you can see. So it says there, yeah, I'm so sorry. Go to password checkup. It says passwords for 47 sites. That's there. Okay, so I click on go to password checkup so that you can replicate this when you're doing it. I'm having to lift it up. Okay, so I drop it and click on it. I'm clicking on it now. And it says check passwords. So it says check the security of passwords you saved to your Google account. Learn if they were compromised. That simply means whether someone has noted them or someone has used them, someone knows them, and things like that. See how strong they are, and if you've used any more than once, and you're going to see what you're going to see. Okay, so I click on check passwords. It's asking me to verify that I'm who I say I am. Okay, so I'm logging in. Okay, the good news, the first one is I don't have any compromised passwords. That green is a good thing. But you see the bits further down, it says 28 reused passwords, 36 accounts using a weak password. Not good. Okay? But like I said, I'm doing this so that you don't do it. Okay? So if you see this, it means that you don't have a unique, you don't have a strong enough password, and you're using your passwords across platforms, which is a big no-no. Okay? It took me time to get this information so that I have something to show you. You know, it's important that you take cue from that. So if I'm reusing passwords, if I have a weak password, then I've got to do something, and it's telling me what to do. It says create unique passwords, create strong passwords. Okay? So I now have to do something, and don't need to open the list of all the, websites, because it will tell you when you click on the drop down for each one, the 28 and the 36, give you a list of the site. You know what? I'm gonna have to show you so that you do it. Okay. So if you click on the drop down, let's start from the 28 one. If we click on that, it's telling me the same password is used on 12 sites and apps, and it's suggesting that I change the password. Okay. And I'll just show us those three. Well, you can't see the three. Let me just show you those three. I think you can see two. Let me do two so you can see that. So there it says the same password is used on 12 sites and apps. If you had a password manager instead, that would be more secure. Okay? But to have the same password used on 12 sites, it would mean that if your password or your account is compromised, that account can be used to access those 12 sites. Do you see the problem? So if one of those accounts is your bank account, I'm drawing a picture so you can see all. Okay, so we won't go further. I'm just showing you. I have it for ASOS and I have it for bitfocus.io. So those two platforms, I'm using the same password and I've saved it there. Not good is what it's saying, that I should use different, or don't even do that. Just log in every time you need to. Don't save your passwords. That's the best way. Don't save your login information for any browser. I have to add, if you can help it, or if you know what you're doing, use a password manager instead, okay? All right, so so that's the 28 reused passwords. Then it tells me that there are 36 accounts using a weak password, okay? That one, I go there. And again, it's the same two that I just shared with you some minutes ago. It's suggesting that I change the password. And can you see how useful it is? It will allow you change the password from this page, okay? I have it for BBC. I use it for BBC and all that, for things that are not really particularly important. But that doesn't excuse this behavior. It's lazy and it's also risky. So the vendor agrees with me. I should know better. And it's telling me that I should create stronger passwords, strong and complex passwords. Like I said, thankfully, the accounts have not been, or the passwords for those accounts have not been compromised. And it does that by checking, okay? It does that by checking. So Google is checking to see if these things are happening. It's not just a flag. It's actually in real time checking for vulnerabilities to your account, okay? So it's important, sincerely so, that we take time. And it's not so much time. We've only spent, I don't know how long we've been here, but we spent a few minutes together. And in those few minutes, we've been able to review, the account that I'm using for this example. And we see the recommendations that Google is making, and they're for you. I really want you to believe that these vendors have your back, okay? And that's very hard in a deceitful and very hard culture or environment that we find called the internet. It's hard to believe what I just said about vendors, but Google and Apple are for you. They are working very hard, and they ought to, because we pay them a lot of money. So they invest a lot of time, a lot of resources to make sure that they're giving you things that will arm you against the rogue. It's just that we don't use them, or we don't know about them, and that's where we come in. We are the bridge. We don't want you making those mistakes. They're giving us tools, they're giving us aids to help us. And we announce them every time we have an opportunity to do so, like we do today, okay? So I hope this video has been beneficial. It's been long, but it's done so intentionally. Thankfully, you can, rewind and forward. You can pause, and there will be chapters that I'll put on so that you go exactly to the areas in the video that you care for or are important to you. But it's important that you take your phone, like I've just done, and go through it. Pause and just look and make sure that you know exactly where you are on your phone as you look at the video, okay? Share this with your friends and family. Subscribe to the channel. It does help. It really does. I don't know how else to make this clear to you. By subscribing to this platform, by liking this video, you give me an opportunity to do this regularly. This is a love of mine. This is a passion. It'll be so nice to have you in this family, in this community, okay? I've been your host, Lawrence Idem. Until next week, God bless and goodbye.